What is up? What's your why, listeners? We have another episode this week with a friend of mine, Scott Cramer. We went to high school together back in the day, and since then he has blown up on YouTube. And I really wanted to have him in on the podcast just to learn about his story and his journey to where he is now. You know, I knew a lot of it from early on, but the little details of how Scott got started on YouTube and how he became kind of the YouTube sensation he is now were really fun to find out in this podcast. So I think you guys will really enjoy this episode. Check it out. Newest episode of the What's Your Why podcast out now. Give it a listen here. Thank you. Have you ever heard of Fargo climbing?
Maybe.
It's like a friend of ours owns it.
Okay.
Two friends of ours, and it's super basic bouldering. So all you do is just climb up and jump down to like super thick paths.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
But it's still like you got all the harnesses and everything. It's
No. So
really
bouldering is like you go up to like 16 feet,
okay.
which is like a medium height, I would say. The first gym that was over in Moorhead for a while went up to like 10 or 11 feet. And so that was like super small jump down. But they go at Fargo climbing, it goes to 16 feet and you jump down, but you can go as low as you want to. And there's another wall they have there called the moon board, and that goes up to like 11 feet.
Are they the ones that kind of come up and back?
Yeah,
like that?
So it's like a 45-degree angle.
Oh my gosh,
Everything
yeah,
you do on it's really hard.
That's sketch. I don't know if I'd be able to work myself up to that, because especially if you're not using a harness, that seems like it'd be kind of
well, you don't even be falling like
above.
So it'd be the padding's like this thick.
Oh yeah, nice.
And then you'd be falling from like on that moon board, the highest your hands would get to is like just over the ceiling here. So only like 10 and a half feet. So your feet are only like 5 feet or 4 feet.
Oh, piece of cake. Piece of cake.
It's not that
Let's
bad.
go do it. Let's go do it right now. Come on. When do they close?
They close at like 8. We could do it afterwards. It's not bad. You've never done any climbing?
No, I think the most I've ever tried was like at the Mall of America when I was a kid. They had some challenge thing. Okay. And it was maybe 10 feet or something.
Oh, okay.
You just kind of go up and hit the bell.
Yeah.
But that's all I've ever done.
No, it's not bad. I feel like I'm also not one to talk because I have like no fear of heights.
Well, I saw a video of you like dangling off an actual cliff.
Was it the Instagram one?
Yeah.
So that one's probably the coolest video I have of climbing.
That was so
I
sick.
I have to post this. But it's that's like Lake Superior.
Oh, so is there like designated spots to do it, or do you just go wherever you see rocks?
It depends. So like it depends on the type of climbing you do too. So like there's sport climbing, is where it's like bolted routes. And you take like those carabiners there and you clip them in as you go up. That particular spot is like a climbing spot, but there's no actual equipment there. So you have to put in what's called trad equipment. So you can't see it right now. It's somewhere buried in there. But it's like
the whole shebang over here. Is this you or Avetta?
Both of us.
Oh my gosh.
If you see that little purple, right below the helmet, there's a little purple on the right here.
Oh, down here?
Right there. Grab that. You can pull it out a little bit. It might be kind of hard. But so that's like a piece of trad equipment.
Look at this guy.
And
looks like an old Wright Brothers invention or something. What the heck?
So you grab it here, and this is brand new, so I haven't even used it yet. But you put it like that. You put it in, and then it extends, but it won't come out like past that.
So that's how you...
So that's kind of like the safety equipment for a place like where that video is taken. And so we have like 4 or 5 of these placed for like redundancy. And one should be fine, but it's always good to have multiple.
Give me 10 or 20.
Yeah. We would actually, in that particular spot, we probably had 6 or 7, which is quite a bit.
Were you pretty high up?
So like to the water is about 300 feet below me, but it was about 120, I think.
Oh, only about 120 feet. That's horrifying.
The heights don't get me.
You're crazy. You're insane. You're a madman.
I don't know. Avetta is terrified of the heights.
Really?
But that's why she likes doing it, I think.
I guess
kind of overcome the fear.
Yeah.
More or less.
Ugh,
but
God.
I've always just enjoyed the heights.
That's
weird.
Insane. Especially coming from a place like this. Where'd you even start to get into
NDSU.
Really? They have a wall there?
They have a pretty nice wall.
Really?
NDSU is like significantly smaller than Ohio State.
Sure.
But when I was at Ohio State for grad school, their wall was only like slightly bigger than NDSU's.
Okay.
And they had a pretty nice one, but NDSU's is pretty good for the size, I feel like.
Are there a lot of students that will like take advantage of that type of stuff, or so it's pretty busy in there?
Yeah, so like you see a lot of the NDSU students at Fargo climbing.
Really?
Yeah, and they are like, especially now, it's growing pretty big, I feel like. Back when I was a student at NDSU, it wasn't as big for sure, but there's still quite a few students who use it.
Really?
Yeah. Not nearly as much like squat racks and stuff like that.
Sure.
But
yeah, that's where it's at, dude.
It's different. But because there's also like a barrier to entry. You can't just walk right in.
That's true.
Do they
have like designated times where like beginners go in and learn how to do stuff, or?
Yeah, so you take a class. It's called like a belay class. And you teach somebody. So you have like a partner and they control the rope and how much slack you get. And so then everybody has to go through that class.
Sure.
And then once you know how to do that, the like commands of like, I'm climbing, and then it's like you say like climb on. It's like safety precaution things.
Sure.
So like it's like universal through all of climbing, and so they teach you all that, and then you're basically free to go whenever it's open. It's not open the same amount of time as like the rest of the gym, but pretty much. But it's a good time. We're not here to talk about. We're here to talk about you, Scott.
Oh, okay.
No, you're good. You're good. Well, I don't know if you listened to any of the episodes before, but I like to go through.
You gotta know I listened to the one with Joe.
Perfect. Oh, absolutely. So I want to run it like very similar to him. I want to know like why you're doing it, but you've been doing this for like YouTube, especially for like a very long time.
Yeah.
And so I think it'll come up pretty early in your story,
probably,
or maybe like why you're doing it. But where are you from? Who are you?
I'm from same place you're from, baby. A small town, North Dakota. Yeah, born and raised. I've lived in this area forever because I even went to college just across the river in Moorhead. But yeah, high school, elementary school, high school, good old.
Yeah.
And then I went to college in Moorhead at Concordia for a couple of years. And then I transferred over to MSUM, so like just down the street. And then I've lived all over, like in this area, just like bopping around different apartments, different houses. So yeah, I'm pretty familiar with this territory. I feel like when I was really little, we moved around quite a bit. We never like left the school district, so I didn't have to change schools or whatever. But I think we lived in like, I don't know, 6 or 7 different houses while I was in school. So yeah, packing up and moving is not something I care to do anymore.
Yeah.
I'm over that.
I hate moving.
I can't stand it. It's such a, obviously like everybody hates moving, but I've done it so many freaking times. And it's not even just like moving moving your house, but like the little ones, like when I was in school, moving into the dorm, moving into an apartment, like little stuff like that. Even that drives me crazy. I can't do that stuff. So hopefully I can just hunker down now where I'm at and be there for a while.
You guys bought a house, right?
We did. We bought a house a couple of years ago. And then we sold that and moved into a new house, kind of like, so we bought it. We moved into the first one right after we got married. So it must've been 2020, kind of springish of 2020. And then like, a year later, 2 years later, we moved into a new house. So we've been moving around a lot. Like, and I'm ready to be done. I'm sick of it.
Right on. What are you guys, since you got married, or?
We are. We're yeah.
Right on. I hate moving. I liked moving when I moved to Columbus because I got rid of like everything. I had just my car.
Sure.
And then I had like 2 more totes that didn't fit in my car, but it was just like one of those gray ones right there. It's super small.
That's all you moved with?
No. I had like, that's the only thing. Like 2 of those didn't fit in my car, and I kept them at my parents' house. Oh, okay. But besides that, everything fit and came with. And
gotcha.
I've definitely like acquired a lot of stuff since then,
sure,
which sucks. But there's pros and cons for sure.
I know it's just a slow thing. Like you never plan on once you don't have all that stuff. It's so nice, and I always think like, all right, let's keep it like this. Let's keep it minimal, and then slowly over time you start to accumulate stuff, and then by the time it's time to pack up and move, it's like, oh, where'd all this stuff come from?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there are things like like this shelf. Like it's super nice to have this shelf to organize everything, and for that light, obviously that's what it's meant for. But like moving that's gonna suck.
Yeah.
It took like an hour and a half to put together, and it's gonna take just as long to take down.
Yeah.
And I definitely don't want to stay in this apartment forever.
Right. But. In our previous house that we lived in, I had a whole like studio set up for filming and I did everything down there. And it took like the whole time we lived there to get it exactly the way I wanted it to. And then it's like, all right, let's pack up and move and let's go to the next place. And now I'm still like slowly trying to get my new space to where I want it to be. And we've lived there for over a year now. It's a lot.
Rough. I used to do it at the Lights, the podcast of the Lights.
Yeah.
Where Joe did it. And I was like, I just want my own space because I don't have to ask my boss every time I want to do it.
Sure.
And he's super chill. He'd probably been like, yeah, come on in.
Right.
But he always like leaves something in there and he comes in. He's like, oh, what's going on? And then, yeah, it's just odd. So got to make it look a little bit nicer in here. But I think it's fine for now.
It works as long as they can hear you. Exactly. That's all people care about.
Yeah. I'm surprised how many people watch the YouTube though.
Watch my YouTube?
No, like my YouTube.
Oh, your YouTube. Yeah.
It's super weird.
That's where I watched the one with Joe. Is it on where is like Spotify and stuff otherwise?
Yeah, Spotify, Apple. I think that's it.
Yeah, but I would prefer to watch even if I'm not even watching it, because then you have the option to look over if somebody says something and they're referencing something, you have the option. So even if I'm listening to a podcast, I almost always have the video version going.
Have you ever listened to Kill Tony?
No.
Tony Hinchcliffe. He's a comedian out of Austin, but he runs this comedy series called Kill Tony. It's like open mic, so you put your name in a bucket, and you get 60 seconds is your time, and then afterwards he like interviews you / roasts you.
Oh, okay.
And it's this big show, huge thing on YouTube.
Really?
But it adds such a level watching it and seeing what these characters look like.
Sure, yeah.
And it makes the show significantly better. But I would definitely check it out. If you like comedy and like a lot of times it's really cringe because it's new people.
Sure.
But it's good stuff. Is
it digital? How do you bring people in?
For that one?
Yeah, like is he doing it over Zoom or something?
No, it's called The Vulcan, I think. It's a comedy or what are they called? Club.
Like club?
Yeah, in Austin, Texas. Yeah.
Oh.
They've been doing it there for years now, I think.
Huh.
But it's really good. Sometimes it kind of sucks because the comedians are really bad.
Right.
But then he just roasts.
Yeah,
the shit out of
even
them.
that is like can be good.
Exactly.
When it's bad. Yeah.
But some people don't like that though.
I guess.
I have the narcissist in me that likes seeing like somebody crash and burn.
You love seeing them fail.
Yeah.
You're
when
evil.
it's just quiet. Yeah. But so you moved around a lot.
Yeah, moved around a lot. But it didn't really affect anything because, like I said, we never left the school district. I never had to like make new friends or anything. No, the biggest pain in the butt was we moved. So like North Dakota, okay, at the time when I was in high school, it was like 14 years old to get your learner's permit, or maybe even before that, 14 to get your license. But during the age when I was like 14, 15, we lived in Moorhead, which is Minnesota. So it was 16 there. So like all my friends were getting their license and I couldn't do it. So then I had to take driver's ed like the year after everybody. And I was in there with a bunch of kids like you, a bunch of youngins. I just felt so silly being the only kid that didn't have a license. But that was really the only like weird thing about.
Where'd you guys live in Moorhead?
We lived over. So do you know where like the Blue Stem Amphitheater is? It's on kind of over in that area.
Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
It was maybe like, I don't know, a half mile away from that.
Okay. There's some really nice houses over there now.
We were not in one of the really nice houses. It was just a totally normal house.
Oh, right on.
They over like actually by the amphitheater, there's some really nice ones. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, those properties are huge.
Okay. Yeah. What made you guys move over there? That seems so far from like Oxbow and Kindred.
I've never even questioned why or for what reasons we were moving. I would just pack up and we would move.
Right, okay.
We just moved around a lot. I don't even know why.
I've always kind of wondered that too. It's like, I wonder why they're moving so much. I figured it was something with like realty or something like that.
I really don't know. I know that when we moved to Oxbow, that was a house that my parents built. And then it was like all the flooding and stuff happened. And it was just like, I don't know, all kinds of crazy stuff. And then that's when we moved to Moorhead. So we went from Oxbow to Moorhead, and then we moved out to Kindred.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you guys, at the end of your road out in Oxbow, was like the first one to be bought out, right?
Yeah.
Something like
yeah.
that.
And we were long gone before all that happened.
Okay.
But that was like the worst part of town, too.
Mm-hmm.
That area was just getting destroyed every time the floods would come through. Except for, it might only been twice that it happened. But I remember having to like canoe back to the highway to get out, because the streets were completely flooded and you couldn't get in and out. So yeah, we had like a like a little canoe in our backyard, and our backyard was right up to the highway. So we would just like paddle out there, and the cars were parked out there. The whole street was basically parked on the highway, and then you get in your car and you get out of there. But yeah, that was a weird time. the flood of 2009.
Yeah, I remember the 2009 flood. That was wild.
Yeah, you were over kind of by the. Were you by the river at all?
No, so we were kind of as far south as you could go in Old Oxbow.
Sure.
And then it's like right across the street from Nyhoff's.
Mm-hmm. And that area is still there. That hasn't been okay.
So I think everywhere. So from like where we were down to. You remember where like Tyson Tollickson lived?
I don't know if I know where Tyson lived.
He was like 2 houses from where the road curved to go back.
Really?
Yep. And so all those houses are still there.
Okay.
So maybe like 1 or 2 past Holland's.
Sure.
Yeah. All those are still there, I believe, and like had like really good spots. Because I know, I remember just looking at Zillow randomly.
Okay.
And I was like, I wonder if our house is for sale. I went and looked, and it was at the time. But
okay.
It's weird looking at your house when somebody remodeled it.
Yeah, so I looked at the pictures from our Oxbow house. It's like way old listing because it doesn't exist anymore. It's not there. But I was looking at a really old listing, and like just seeing the pictures of it and stuff is kind of weird because it's been, I don't know, we lived there in 2009, so it's been over 10 years. And the way that my brain remembers the house is a lot different than it actually is. So it's kind of shocking to like see pictures of it. It's cool though. I love reliving stuff like that.
The yard is significantly different at our Oxbow house because we had like, I remember kind of once we had like almost 30 trees in our yard.
Sure.
And like big pine trees and whatnot. And now there's like 3.
Really?
And so that was weird to see that the house stood out a lot more.
Were you guys near the golf course at all?
Yeah. So hole 16 on like the we were technically on 16 in like the out of bounds area.
Okay, yeah.
But if you were like teeing off and you hit your ball completely straight, you would hit our house. But like the hole curves around.
Sure. Luckily, nobody ever hits the ball straight when they golf. So
we had a ball come to our yard a couple of times, but you have to hit it pretty bad to hit our house.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Our neighbors got a lot more balls than we did.
And
like Broughton's, I think they did as well.
Yeah, I wonder if is that annoying, or is it just like it comes with the territory of living?
I think it comes with the territory.
Yeah.
If you move to a golf course, I think you expect to get balls in your yard quite a bit.
Yeah.
The when did you? Okay, let's go back even further.
Yeah.
So we talked about moving around and whatnot, but early years of like Kindred, what was school like for you? What was like your mind focused on?
I don't know. I liked school. I always had, I don't know. I never had like school sucks. You know, even little kid through high school, through college, I never really felt like school sucked. I just kind of like, I don't know. I feel like the whole thing was a very normal kid experience. It was like nothing special about me going through school. I was just like, I was in sports and stuff. I did like some extracurriculars here and there, but yeah, pretty normal school experience.
When you came up, and when did you first start like making videos?
Well, we always, like in our house, my parents were always walking around with home video camera stuff.
Okay.
And then I eventually like would just use our home camera and make little skits and stuff. Since probably when I was like 9, 10, 11, that age. And then when I started like making videos to edit to put on YouTube, I think it was like 2008.
A long time ago.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I've been uploading to YouTube forever. But even before that, yeah, I would like because we had this old camera that it had like a digital SD card, whatever, but then it also had these little tiny mini like tapes that you could record to, and none of us knew how the SD card worked, so we just used the little tapes. And I would like I'll fill that whole thing out, like making videos, little skits with my brother or whatever. And then just pop in the next one and start again. But then when I finally like realized that you could do stuff on a computer, then I was like, oh, let's go. I can edit these and I can add text and credits at the end. And oh my God. So that's when I really started to like get into it. And then so like that probably started happening in like 2007, and I wanted to post them on YouTube, and my mom was like, no, you shouldn't be posting on YouTube, like, you don't really need everyone to see this stuff. And I get it now, but at the time I was like, Mom, like, I'm gonna be a celebrity, Mom, like I'm gonna make movies and put them on YouTube or whatever. And then eventually she finally did, because I would make the videos and then I'd show my mom, and I'd be like, is it okay if I post this? And she'd be like, okay, yeah, you can post it. So then, eventually I was just like, doing that over and over and over every single day, like making a video, putting it out. And then eventually when we moved to Moorhead, that's when I really started to like figure it out a little bit more. I was mainly just copying the other people that I watched, but that's kind of what you do when you're starting out. So I was probably like an 8th grader when I started to figure out how to do YouTube videos for real and not just have it be like silly, oh, let's just like make a random video, like me and my friends be like, oh, let's just like do something random and then put bloopers at the end. So I was like structuring it out and planning it more. And then in high school, I kind of stopped doing it. I'm not really sure why. I guess I was busier with like sports and stuff. And none of my friends really did it either. So it was just like something I would do by myself. Unless it was a school project or something, then they'd be like, oh, we all want to be in Scott's group because he knows how to edit videos. So I stopped doing it in high school and then kind of picked it up again a little bit in college. And then after college, that's when I like started going all for it again. So
are all your videos still there? Like, is it the same YouTube channel?
No. So such a devastating thing. I was probably, it was when we moved to Moorhead. So when I was in 8th grade, my original YouTube channel got hacked and all the videos got deleted. It wasn't like, oh, we hacked the channel and we privated the videos. No, they got wiped. So they're gone. So I started a new channel and was doing the same type of stuff on that channel. And then I started the channel that I have now in 2014. So like kind of right after I graduated high school. So everything from after high school to now is the same. There's some old videos on there that are private that will never be public. But kind of a miracle happened. I was digging around my parents' basement looking for something. And I found this like old hard drive, just like a portable hard drive that I had never seen. I was like, I don't know what this is. So I plugged it in to see what was on it. And it was every like video clip that I had ever recorded from way back at the beginning. So all the stuff that got, when the channel got hacked and deleted, and I thought that stuff was gone forever, all of it was on this hard drive. So I have like the edited version of the videos and all the raw files. So like I could go in now and like re-edit the videos to make them tighter and like add text and stuff if I wanted to. And I do want to do, I have done a couple of things with it where like, if I'm making a video now and I reference, cause I'm constantly referencing like my childhood with stuff. So I've like pulled that footage and used it in the videos that I'm posting now, which is a lot of fun. I love doing that.
How much different is like the actual like video file from then to now? Yeah.
It's almost unwatchable. I mean, cause it wasn't even a video camera that I was using for a long time. It was basically like a Nikon Coolpix, you know what those are? Like the old digital photo camera. And it just had like a record feature on it. So the audio is just garbage. Even the video, like if the sun would hit the lens just right, there's these weird like pink lines and the screen would kind of go purple and it was just awful. But I never noticed any of that because I was just like having so much fun making the videos. So yeah, but it is like, it has a fun, like there's like a vibe that you get when you're watching that old stuff. I just love it. I love it. That's and then cool. now I recorded a video the other day. Because the topic of the video is like the Kids' Choice Awards, the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards. And I used to watch that when I was a kid. So I recorded the video on our old home video camera. So like I used that old camera and then new nice audio.
Yeah.
So that video is going to be, it'll come out on Friday. I don't know when this comes out, but that'll come out this Friday. And it's shot on our old home video camera. So you can see the difference. You can
That's
see
super
like
cool.
What it used to look like. Yeah.
Is it just like, I know I've seen a lot of your YouTube videos where it's just like your face. Is that what's recorded?
Yeah. So I just set it up in the same exact spot that my nice new camera is usually set up, and did it all the same way, just with my old camera, which is kind of fun.
Right on.
Yeah.
So when you first started making videos, like way back when, say 2008,
right?
It's just like dumb skits, kind of like Jackass.
Well, it was more so like, do you know who, like Ryan Higa? You ever heard of Ryan Higa or Smosh or like Fred? Any of those old
Fred?
YouTube
Yeah.
channels? So it was stuff like that where it's just kind of more of like a scripted comedy bit. And I did those. I like almost every single day. I'm not even exaggerating. I had so many videos that I had. Yeah, and they were all just like, a lot of the time it was, so back then I wasn't even planning it. I would just think like, okay, I want to make a video today. Let's do a video about like, I don't even know, like let's do a video about like the refrigerator talking to us. And then I'd be like, all right, Greg, we're doing a video and the refrigerator's going to talk to us. Let's just go. And we just record it with no plan or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was just, they were terrible.
That's a lot of creativity, I feel like.
Well, yeah, I mean, if they were good, maybe.
Yeah.
But a lot of them weren't very good. But they're so charming. Like, I look back on it, it's like, I know that that's me, but it's, it's like me from 15
completely
years ago.
different.
It's like a totally different person. So it's like almost really cute and charming to see that old stuff. And it does not even feel like the same me that did it. But yeah, I clearly had like an interest in this forever.
Yeah. Do you have any idea where it came from, or just watching YouTube yourself?
I think, yeah, it was probably that, because it was like my very formative years when I started watching, because we didn't have cable or internet or any of that stuff until I think I figured it out. It was like 2008, basically, when we got all that stuff. It was when we moved to Oxbow.
Okay.
So we had cable and all that. And then I would like see, I don't know, I think it's just kind of like whatever you're into and whatever you're seeing when you're that age, and it's kind of like you're figuring out stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was seeing that and I was like, oh, this is sick. Like, this is awesome. And it's the same thing. I think people say like the music that you listened to from like 12 to 14 or whatever is like the most impactful on your whole life. So that was me. Like, I just happened to be watching YouTube at that time.
Yeah.
And that's just what stuck with me, I think. And it does help because like when we were, like I said, when we were really little, my mom and dad were always walking around, like they had video camera out, and then we'd do like little skits for them, and they'd be like, oh yeah, like perform that little thing that you were doing the other day. So it was stuff like that. And watching it back, I was like, oh my God, I'm on the TV. So yeah, I think it's just all that stuff slowly kind of built up.
We have like
my main interest.
No home videos. I'm always like,
so
jealous.
Sad to think about.
Like no home videos whatsoever.
Really?
And,
oh man.
But we just never had a video camera.
Yeah.
And it's just not something that I don't think my parents would have done. It's like walk around with a camera. They were just not as exciting, but
it's funny to think because like I can't even imagine myself walking around filming stuff. Like I never document anything. So I think to myself, I'm so glad my parents documented all this stuff and I'm not even doing it for like myself. So I really should like start paying more attention to like documenting stuff.
See, now I feel like there's way more of that stuff now. Like,
you think so?
Well, just because cell phones, like I can whip out my phone and take a 4K video.
That's true. But for me personally, I feel like having it be that accessible makes me not even think to do it. Because like I always have it on me. If I was carrying like an actual camera around, I'd be like, let's bust that thing out. Let's use it to record. But since I just like always have my phone, I never even think, oh, I should record this moment or anything.
See, I think about it like when you have a kid. Or like somebody gets a dog for the first time.
Oh,
there's so many pictures of their dog.
That's true, yeah.
But when you think back to like when we first got our first dogs, we got like a couple photos of them.
Yeah.
But when the more you used your phone, the more you took pictures, and I got way too many photos of Tahoe.
Yeah. You'll never even look at them again.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just too many to even keep track
but,
of.
like, putting all those in, like, a photo album.
Yeah.
Like, I remember growing up and looking through. You'd take them to, like, Walgreens or something like that to get, or Sam's Club. We always did to get your photos done. And we have those photo albums. You never do that anymore.
No, see, so we have a bunch like these. My parents do these kind of filing cabinets, and they're stuffed with old developed pictures like that. And I'll pull one out and see it and like remember that moment. But now there's so many pictures and everything is documented all the time. So even if I'm scrolling through old pictures on my phone, I'll see one and be like, oh yeah, I guess we did go on that trip. Or like, oh yeah, I guess we did do that. And it doesn't really like bring me into that moment. But that might also be because I'm like an adult now and my brain is full of other stuff that
probably. So it's probably not as pivotal.
Exactly, yeah.
Because like, one thing I always think about is how fast time goes. Yeah. Like as an adult.
Oh yeah.
It sucks.
Stresses me out.
Yeah. Your life is just flying by.
I know. Well, I even earlier when we were talking here and I said, oh, we've lived in this house for over a year. As I said that, I was like, holy crap, it's been over a year since we moved into that house. Like, whoa, it feels like we just moved in yesterday. So yeah, time is so fake, dude. It's so fake.
No, I lived in this apartment for way too long because I moved here and I was like, because I moved back from Ohio.
Sure.
And I was like, I'll be here for like a year and then I'm going to the mountains. And that was the goal. Still not in the mountains.
But you brought the mountains to you, dude.
There's no mountains in North Dakota still. There's climbing books of like for everything. For every spot that there's like a climb, there's pretty much a book about it. It might be like in a state book, like climbs of Minnesota, but like there's a page dedicated to like that rock for sure. But there's a book for climbing North Dakota, and there's 3 routes, and throughout the entire state, which is like so low, like, and it's 3 like this line is like a route up this wall, and this one way of going up it, what you can consider it a climb, right? And there's only 3 in North Dakota, which is like so small.
Are they like out west?
I think 1's out west and 2 are in the Turtle Mountains.
Really?
Like up north by the Peace Gardens, I think.
Okay.
Somewhere up there. And I've never seen them. But there's a book written about them.
Sure.
And it's like the saddest book of it. It sounds like. And I haven't bought it because it's like, I think it's like $45.
It's not worth it for the 3.
I don't think it's worth it. But I don't know where I was going with that.
That's great. I do. I love the fact that you picked up a hobby that you almost just can't even do.
Oh yeah, so you can't do it in North Dakota. That's kind of where I was going to. But like, if you go 4 hours, like straight east, straight south, or 3 hours straight south, or out to like Rapid City, South Dakota, in the Black Hills by like Mount Rushmore, is insane climbing.
Really, I believe that. Yeah.
And we went to Mount Rushmore when I was like 4 or 5. I remember we were at State Track in Bismarck, and then we drove straight south to like Rapid City, and it was when my dad was like first AD, like a long time ago, and I don't remember it being nearly as big or grand out there, but I went back for the first time to like Rapid City, Black Hills in September, and I was like, holy shit, this is like really cool out here. That's
funny because usually it's the opposite. Usually, as you get older, things seem smaller. That's funny that you like didn't even notice how awesome it was.
The only memory I have of Rapid City and like the Black Hills from back then is like, and I was young. I was like 4 or 5. So these like early memories.
Sure.
We were walking down like some street in Deadwood, and there's this like fake cowboy, like put on a show. Yep. And I thought he was real, and I thought he was trying to put me in prison. Oh no! And I know it's not real, but I can still remember like the feeling I had of like, oh, we need to get out of here. And then the other one was like seeing Mount Rushmore, like looking up at it. Yeah. And I remember that being like tall, but that was it. Like that was the only like mountains around there. Yeah. It's a mountain, but it's not like Colorado. But like there's so much out there that's so big and grand. It's really
seeing Mount Rushmore was kind of. It's so far away, and and everybody says like, oh, it's way smaller than you think it is. And to me, it was still like massive, just like ridiculously big. But I didn't realize like you're not even, it's so far out in the distance. Like you couldn't like whip a paper airplane. I thought it was like right there.
Oh yeah.
But we went a couple of summers ago. And it was like, it's kind of shocking to see it in person.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even seem possible. And then you go like into the little museum and you see the pictures of the guys carving it and how tiny they are next to it. It's so cool. Mount Rushmore is awesome.
Then like it's the climbing around Mount Rushmore is like right behind.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's
is that
super
and inside
accessible.
is where like the Declaration of Independence or whatever is like inside the head or something like that, right?
See, I don't know about that. I think that's what's that movie?
National Treasure. Yeah,
it would be super cool.
Yeah,
if it was.
There's a secret compartment in the head. Yeah, I know about it.
There has to be something like that.
They're wasted. If not, they wasted their opportunity.
Well, yeah, and so I think you can climb up Mount Rushmore
on the backside.
On one of like, maybe not to the very tip top, but like on some part of it.
Is there like a bucket list of climbs that everybody knows about? That's like you got to do this one.
Well, I'm probably not deep enough into climbing to know like the exact names of routes, but like I'm sure you've seen Free Solo like heard about it, like Alex Honnold.
Yep.
That's in Yosemite. That's like the climbing mecca, best place to go.
Sure. In
California, because there's just these massive faces of rock. And then there's another 2 places in Spain, I believe, that are like just these crazy spots. And one's like it's called like deep water soloing. There's a show about it on HBO right now about climbing. And it just came out. It's called like The Climb, I believe.
The Miley Cyrus movie?
No. I think it's called The Climb, but it's a HBO show that just finished or just came out and previewed. But like you're bouldering in a sense, or free soloing, and it's like I think the walls go up to like 60 feet. But if you fall, you just fall straight down into like the ocean. Yeah. And so that would be pretty sketchy, I think.
Yeah, I would not even consider.
I would love to go there. That'd be super cool.
Really?
And then I really like mountaineering. I think that's super attractive to me. And
so what is that exactly?
That would be like just climbing mountains.
So it's not necessarily like you're doing this whole Spider-Man thing, but you're like marching to the top and kind of maneuvering your way up. And
a lot of them do require you to use like ropes and like gear at some parts of the climb.
Is that so? Like when you climb Everest, is that a mountaineering?
For sure.
Sure.
Yeah, and so Mount Everest, like technically, is not nearly the hardest.
Really?
Climb.
It's just so
the
high
tallest.
Up. Yeah.
I believe there's one like it's called K2. I believe is the hardest, and that's similar height. Only I think maybe a couple 100 feet or so less.
Really? There's like a Netflix documentary about some guy that did all the tallest.
Yeah, like the 14 Peaks guy.
Yeah.
I think his name's like Nimsday. But he talks about K2, and that was like one of the harder ones to complete as well that year. But it's so deadly. Because
I don't like hearing that word. Like I just avoid it. It's so deadly. Yeah, no thanks. I'll pass on that.
The hard thing is like you just don't know what snow is gonna do.
Yeah, I guess the unpredictability.
It could look great, like it could be like a drift going across right here, but we don't see that. Right next to this table is 100-foot drop.
Sure.
Like this far underneath the snow, and so that's the stuff that like kills people.
Yeah.
Obviously, like frostbite gets people and whatnot, and altitude sickness that you can't really super prepare for at that height. But that'd be super cool to do. I'd love it.
Hey, you go ahead, you do it. You tell me all about
it. I'd love to. I've been reading a lot about Everest and like different expeditions on Everest, and it's so sketchy. Like every book about it has something sketchy.
Really, I've seen. And I don't know if they're real or not, but I feel like I've seen pictures now because it's so, the myth of climbing Everest, where like sometimes there will just be like a line of people like making their way up. It's just like, all right, we got 40 people. Let's go to the top.
Well, they have like these parties and they can be like, I don't know, like one of the smaller groups, like 2 people or like maybe like 5 with their Sherpas. Because a lot of the times you have to pay the country of Nepal to climb Everest, and it's like they make a lot of money from tourism for mountaineering and alpinism, and there's some rule that you have to have a Sherpa, I believe, except for some occasions. But I know like there's like a crew who went, I think it was like 8 years ago probably now, and they try to do like there's like 3 peaks close by. They're trying to do record attempts to all 3 peaks and back to base camp, and under a certain amount of time, and like, the Sherpas like either didn't want to do it or they just weren't fast enough to keep up, and so they just did it on their own, and that was a big red flag. You couldn't do that, but it's like super expensive to do. Really? And then like there's this one crew, and this was back in '96 because there's a big book written about '96 season on Everest, and this one day I think it was like 30 people looking to summit, but it's different groups going at one time because like there's a short window of when like weather's good, and you can't go to the top of Everest when the weather's bad, apparently. Death sentence. Well, it's called the death zone. Oh. And so, yeah, it's like a high percentage of dying. God dang. So, yeah, whatever. But some days, I think like, you see videos, and it's like 400 people. It was like a record day. And I believe it was like 400 in one day once. Or maybe it was ridiculous. 200 and 400 for the season. But it was just a beautiful day. And it was just like get everybody going today because they'll save their life, basically. Jeez, man. Dude, Nepal was just like counting their stacks on that day. Well, the one expedition crew was like that the author was in from the book in '96. It was like $60,000 for his ticket to go. Holy smokes. But that was a more expensive guide because he had the best Sherpas to help haul gear and help with like medical and food and whatnot. And then he also pays his Sherpas very well. Whereas that's not as common of a thing with all of the groups. But then I think it's a minimum, back then it was a minimum of $10,000 just to climb. Dude. So you got to pay $10,000 and then you got to go and do that. Yeah, it's like you're paying to do something that sucks. For sure. It's the ultimate. It's like going to college. It's like kind of the same thing. Exactly. I did like college, but I did too. I like college. Looking at my student loans, it's like fuck. Yeah. This. Well, and looking at like my career, did I need to go to college? I don't know. Did you? So that's a good question. Like, did you? What have you like learned from? What was your degree in? Advertising. Okay. So I was doing like just a general marketing at Concordia, and then I transferred and specified in advertising because I was like, that's what I want to do, baby. I want to make commercials and stuff. But then, so I did kind of want to do that, and it's still fun. I guess I do make commercials, like when I'm doing videos. When I like have a sponsor plug or whatever, that is basically a commercial. But I thought that I wanted to like be a copywriter or something at an agency. Okay. So I never did that. I worked other jobs where I was still doing kind of video work and the creative marketing type stuff. And then I realized like it was fun to do the creative stuff, but not for somebody else, you know? Yeah. I didn't like having to, like, I made something that I know is good. Okay. Like I know this is good. And then you show it to some 55-year-old and they're like, actually, can we actually do this thing that's going to make it worse? It's like, all right, I guess you're the one paying me. So yeah, that was kind of like what totally like shooed me away from that. If I would, working in advertising is fine if I had total control over it, but like that is just not. It's a pipe dream. Yeah, that's not the way that it works. Yeah, which sucks. Hopefully someday it is. I hate the idea of like, oh, that's not how it works, because it doesn't have to be. Maybe that's not how it works now, but slowly over time we can maybe change that. Well, I'm sure there's some companies that like, hey, I don't know anything about advertising. You just go off and do your own thing. Oh yeah, if you were so I even know of companies in Fargo that do. It's more of like a freelance advertising marketing stuff, and they do great work, and the companies do trust them to do that. Yeah. So it is possible. But like what I was looking at doing was, I'm going to work for this big ad agency, and I'm going to get clients like Coca-Cola. I'm going to write a Kia ad. And then it's like, yeah, you got 50 steps to get that commercial on TV, and it's never going to be what you originally wanted to be. So did you work for an advertising agency after you graduated? No, I worked. So right after college, like immediately after college, I worked for Sky Zone doing like PR, marketing, videography. I remember seeing that stuff. Yeah.
And it was that was great. Like they let me do whatever I wanted, which was my dream. I was like, holy crap, I can do whatever I want. And my supervisor, Lucas, who's like, we're the same age. He's a my supervisor. He was just like, make a video about whatever today. Oh, we got this deal going on. Like, we're going to put it on Facebook. So then I would just go do some crazy stuff and literally like no supervision at all. They would just let me do that. So that was amazing. But then like I wanted to, maybe move up a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Work somewhere else, get maybe paid a little bit more. So then I worked for the city of Fargo.
Okay. And
you would think like, oh, city of Fargo, they're pretty strict, like they've got their, but it was kind of the same thing where it was like, just do whatever you want. I was like, I'm so lucky to like have these jobs where my supervisors are so chill and like trust me to do whatever I want. And then while I was working for City of Fargo, my YouTube channel was taking off. And eventually it was like, all right, I'm spending way too much time not doing YouTube. So then I just left and did YouTube full time.
Right on. You're still doing that?
Still doing it, yeah. Okay. I left in 2020. I think summer of 2020.
So you're coming up on almost 3 years.
Coming up on 3 years, yeah. Which, again, saying that for the first time out loud, kind of shocking. 3 years is nuts.
What was it? What was the decision like when you decided to, like, I'm putting in my 2 weeks and I'm just doing YouTube?
Oh, scary. So I have to go back a little bit to the Sky Zone thing because they were so. I cannot stress enough how good to me they were at Sky Zone. Dan, awesome. Lucas, awesome. Like they were so good that there were times when I was at work, like working on YouTube stuff, and they did not care. They're like, you don't really have anything to do today. You got a couple hours here and there, like you can do that. Okay. So I would be like editing videos at work, and then that kind of stopped happening when I worked for City of Fargo. So like going from Sky Zone to City of Fargo was great, but it was a little bit less time to do what I wanted to do.
For sure.
And that's when it was like, okay, it was like a financial thing for a while where it's like, all right, I'm making not quite enough just doing YouTube and I need like health insurance and stuff. So I'll stick with this for as long as I need to. And eventually it was like, all right, I'm making a little bit more doing just YouTube than I even am at work. So that was the point where it's like, all right, I don't need to be working a normal job anymore. And then it was kind of like, so it was like early 2020, maybe March, April, when I started to see, okay, I can maybe just do this on my own. And my wife is so amazing. She never for a second was like, oh, I don't know, maybe this is a little scary. Maybe we should think about this a little more. She was always just, let's freaking do it. Do the YouTube thing. That's what you want to do. And the timing worked out really well where I have a brand manager who like does all of the business negotiations with sponsors and all that stuff. And he was picking up more deals. He kind of started his company with me as his first client. Oh, sweet. So he was figuring it out. I was figuring it out, and we were kind of growing together, and the timing just worked out perfect where it was like, all right, I can do this full time. I don't want to work at the City of Fargo anymore, as awesome as it was. So I'm just going to do it full time. So yeah, and then from there, I just kind of hit the ground running. And it was really good timing all around because the first month that I was only doing YouTube, up until that point, was the best month financially that I had ever seen up until that point. So it wasn't like, all right, I'm really scared. Let's do this. Oh no, it's not working out. It's a little, oh God, was this the wrong decision? It was almost immediately, okay, this was the right decision. So, and ever since then, it's just kind of been, I haven't really thought about it.
So that was spring of 2020.
Spring was when I started thinking about leaving, and then I think it was maybe June.
So it was after like lockdowns and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, that was part of it too, because actually when I said I wasn't doing any work during work hours or doing any YouTube during work hours, for a while we were working from home. Okay. So for maybe 2 months we were working from home. So that was when I was kind of getting the bug, like, okay, I'm doing YouTube during the day. I think, my supervisor's not checking in on me. I'm editing a video. Oh man, people are watching. And then when we started going back into the office, I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Nah, fuck this.
And that was like May, June. And I think I went full time in like end of June is when I stopped going into work.
So like, what's like the point, or what is your YouTube for like everybody listening?
I would describe it as like a comedy commentary show. Because if you think of, I do comedy on YouTube, you might think of sketch comedy, kind of like what I was doing when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And if you think of people that know what commentary is, there's kind of a bubble that puts you into, where it's like, I saw this video and I'm gonna make jokes about this video. It's more of like its own researched and edited show than that. It takes a lot of work.
Yeah,
like,
I can imagine.
I spend a lot of hours doing it. So yeah, it's like its own kind of show. And for the last like maybe 2 years, I've really been trying to follow a formula that's like, if you're watching this video and then 6 months later you watch a new video, it's not like a completely different thing. It's always kind of a consistent, you know what to expect when you come in. So yeah.
Right on. And so what's like the volume of videos you're putting out? Is it like once a week you kind of shoot for something, or? For
the last like year and a half, I've been once every other week, very consistently. There have been times when I do a little bit more than that even. Like last year in April, I put out 5 videos, and that killed me. Like that was way too much work. So I'll try not to do that again, because I do everything by myself.
Yep.
If I had somebody that was editing them for me, maybe I could put out more frequently. But like every other week, and then I get maybe like a day or 2 off, every couple of weeks. So it's not like, it takes me 2 weeks to make a video. I'm kind of lollygagging over here. I take a little. I'm like working every day.
Well, I see you at the coffee shops, not as much recently.
Yeah, not as much. Well, we had a kid, so it's
true.
a little harder to get to the coffee shops. But yeah, that was my favorite thing to do. Shout out Thunder, dude. Thunder, that was the spot.
I love going to coffee shops.
Me too. Just getting out of the house, because I'm just sitting staring at a computer all day. So if I'm gonna sit and stare at a computer, I at least like to be somewhere where there's like activity, life around me. It's a little less depressing than being in my basement all the time.
I really want to. I saw this. It's kind of dumb, but I saw this random Instagram reel this guy made, and he goes to his friend's house like every Saturday. He hosts his own coffee shop at his apartment, and I would love to do it at my apartment.
So you just have like your friends come
just
through, or
whoever.
You open it up.
I would open up to the Instagram world.
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
And like. So I sampled. I had like a really good croissant at Thunder last week. I was like, I can make that. Turns out I can, but it's really hard.
Yeah.
And so I made like on Sunday. I spent the day prepping. Then yesterday morning I baked them, but it took 4 hours of prep to make these croissants. But I was like, I'll make some bakery goods, and I'll have coffee, and then like. Maybe some cheese as well. I don't know. I got all the setups for everything. I mean, I've turned into a huge coffee nerd.
Oh yeah.
But I would love to open a coffee shop someday.
That would be awesome.
I love the atmosphere of coffee shops.
Oh yeah.
All that stuff.
Yeah, there is like and this is so hippie, but there's like an energy in
Absolutely.
there when you walk in, especially when there's like I love walking in and seeing people like working on their laptop. Some guy over there, he's got his little Bluetooth in, he's on a phone call. There's like real estate agents in there trying to convince people to buy it. It's like, I love it. I love that place.
I was chatting with a friend. He's down in, I think he's in Sioux Falls right now, but he does the biathlon. He's on Team USA for biathlons, the skiing and shooting.
Yeah.
And
which is so fun to watch, by the way. It's hilarious. I love that.
And I'm really bad at watching sports.
Yeah.
I never have been able to watch sports, but when I know somebody doing it, it's a lot easier. And so we were watching, they just had the World Cup like 2 weeks ago in Germany, and so we were watching him, and it was way more interesting. Just
because you knew you actually had a reason to be
you're
invested
invested in like somebody, like you want them to do well, and so I don't know, but it was cool. But he was talking about he spends a lot of time in Europe because biathlon is so small in the U.S., but it's like the number 1 sport in Europe.
What?
And so, or one of the number 1 sports,
sure,
especially for Winter Olympics. And so a lot of their competitions every year over there, he spends a lot of time over in that part of the world. And he's like, coffee shops here is completely different than like the American style, especially in Italy. You come in to like rest, recharge. You get your shot of espresso, your latte, whatever. You drink it for like 5-10 minutes. Then you go back to work. and you're completely recharged. You're way more efficient. But the culture of like working in the coffee shop isn't as prevalent there.
Really?
But I think it's also like those are like old school coffee shops. I think
Sure.
A lot of those have probably been around for a very long time.
Yeah, maybe.
I would love to open something like, like the idea of the coffee shop in West Fargo, Thunder.
Yeah.
They have beer and you could order a cocktail if you really wanted to, but it's just not. It's not the scene there because it's not like a night. Like lively nighttime area,
right? Well, and they close so early too compared to some of the other ones. But yeah,
but I would love to open that, like have like coffee shop, coffee open all day, but then at like noon or at like 2, it becomes like a cocktail bar. You ever been to Harold's in Moorhead?
No.
It's like it's like a swanky little cocktail bar.
Really?
Yeah.
You got cigars in there and everything.
No cigars, but
it's some cigars in there. Man.
It's a tiny spot. It's maybe like the whole restaurant's the size of my apartment.
Harold's, you said it's called?
It's called.
I've never even heard of that.
It's straight down. It's on Main Avenue in Moorhead. You've been to Junkyard before?
Oh, yeah.
So it'd be the first intersection west of Junkyard. You just go to Main Avenue. It's right in the corner there.
Okay.
I don't know how old Harold's is. It's been here since I moved back from Columbus.
Sure.
It may be pretty like new. Beyond that, but really cool spot, like just nice cocktails, fun, small little place. I think that'd be a cool shop to open up someday.
Yeah, you should. Where do you have like a dream location? Anywhere in the whole country, in the whole world, where would you do it?
I'd probably say I like the United States.
Yeah,
it seems good.
Yeah.
I haven't experienced a lot of other places.
Yeah,
but,
I don't want to just randomly go open a coffee shop in a different country. I guess maybe in the U.S. I
really like Duluth.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
But it's a little cold, and so it's just like here. It's a little cold, a little too cold.
It's kind of rainy out there too, isn't it?
I think it's pretty similar to here. Maybe a little bit more rain. Yeah. I love Duluth. Is awesome.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
The city's so fun. It's a little bit more of like a hippie town than Fargo is. I like that.
It's like the Portland of Minnesota.
100% it's the Portland, Minnesota. But I would also say like Rapid City, Sheridan, Wyoming.
Sure. They're
smaller towns, but they have like kind of the more mountain style activities.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same vibe as here, but it's actually pretty a pretty place to live.
We were in Sheridan. My friend Aaron from Columbus, his parents just moved there, and we were gonna do like a dirt bag road trip down to Moab, but ends up just staying there for a few days in Sheridan. 20,000 people. It's definitely a cowboy city. Like that's a little bit different, but this massive mountain range right there, and along the whole mountain range, it's maybe like 35,000 people.
Really?
But it's like there's very few people out there. It's beautiful. Fargo's a great city. I think it's just location sucks.
Yeah, well, location, and then the weather is so unbearable. Like even today, I was like, last week we couldn't do it because of the storm.
Yep.
And I was like looking at the forecast. Okay, next Tuesday looks good. All right, well, a couple days ago, all of a sudden now there's a blizzard on Tuesday. So I'm going to drive home in a freaking blizzard today.
Is there a blizzard tonight?
There's supposed to be a blizzard. There's a winter storm warning, baby. So strap yourself in.
I never check the weather because my boss never lets us stay home.
Oh, it's not even worth it to check.
Wait, I live here, obviously, but like I work a mile down the road.
Oh, sure.
And and he knows that like I can just walk to work.
Because
I've done it multiple times. I'm like, I'm just gonna walk today. He's like, it's -26. I was like, it's good for me.
You're crazy.
It was so stupid.
You love dangling 300 feet above the ocean, and you like walking to work in a freaking storm. You're nuts out of your mind.
It was so dumb, but it was just last winter, and it was like I was like, I want to leave I don't want to paint my car today.
Sure.
So I'm just gonna walk.
Poor car, you don't want to. That's not what it's for. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, geez, man.
I was like, it's also not gonna warm up by the time I get there, so I might as well just walk. And then so now, whenever it storms, he's like, I know you can walk here, and so you better be here.
You will be here today.
And he decides if we're going in based on his vehicle, which is like a 4-wheel drive, massive Dodge pickup.
Sure.
And so he always make it.
Yeah, we're coming in today.
And he's the one who tests the roads to see if we're going or not.
Love that.
No, we were somewhere in a conversation. Oh, I would say a smaller outdoorsy town. Ideally, not like a fancy coffee shop there already. Because I think as long as they're a college, there's an opportunity. Sure. And there's a couple in Duluth, but I think there's room for more. Mm-hmm. There's one that's really cool. It's like a surf. It's like 100% a surf shop
in Duluth.
Yeah, so you can. Like, have you ever heard of people surfing on Lake Superior?
No, is it like wake surfing,
no,
or how
no.
the heck do you surf?
Like surfing, like ocean surfing.
They got waves out there, huh?
Yeah, and it's the best time of year to surf is in the winter.
Of course it is.
During the winter storms.
Never, no way. Not a chance in hell you'd ever find me doing that, but more power to them.
My goal is to do it by the end of this summer. I think I can get it done.
How is it not? I guess the lake is too big to freeze.
Well, it does freeze, but it has to be like, obviously it has to be
ridiculous.
It has to be warm enough. So like if there's a storm tonight, it'd probably be people out there surfing.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, they're crazy. That's nuts.
There's not that many people who do it.
Right.
I'm just kind of surrounding myself with the feed of my social media.
The crowd that you run with is like nuts.
There's a guy who owns a coffee shop. I love coffee shop people, so I try to get on the podcast, and he like refuses to come on.
What the heck?
And I've tried like multiple times, but he's exactly what you would expect on a beach bum of San Diego.
Yeah.
But he lives in Duluth.
Is he from here or is he from somewhere?
I don't know. He won't let me learn about his life. I'm trying.
Dude, he's a recluse.
And his hair's down to here. He's wearing flip flops, and we were there in like end of September, so it was getting chilly. And he was like flip flops and shorts, and he was 100% a beach bum.
I love people like that though.
Oh,
that just fully commit to the bit.
He's 100%. He's 100% a surfer dirtbag.
It's like the total opposite. It's weird to find somebody like that around here, but Jaden and I went on a trip to Key West last spring. Okay. And pretty much everybody that we talked to down there was like, yeah, I came here on like a little getaway 10 years ago and then I just never went home. Like that's what everybody was like. So it's weird to think that somebody, and maybe he is from here, but it's weird to think that somebody maybe did the opposite and stayed here. Mm-hmm. Who the heck stays here? You don't come here and stay.
I feel like he has to be like a local who just fully embraced surf culture.
His heart was somewhere else.
He was like, well, I can surf in Duluth and I can open a coffee shop, so I'm just going to stay here. Uh-huh. And so he was a cool dude to talk to. Like we talked to him in person when we were there, but he just didn't want to come on the podcast. Man. Dick, whatever. It's fine.
What a jerk. That guy's such a jerk, dude.
I do like, the idea of you said somebody going all in for the bit. Mm-hmm. And I've talked about it on this multiple times. I love people who go all in. Uh-huh. And so it's fascinating that like you did that for YouTube.
Yeah, I kind of did. Well, I was lucky enough to ease in, but I have since then gone completely all in. And I find myself very lucky because I know a lot of people that like they pop off or whatever, Yeah. Like they'll kind of go from 0 to everybody knows who they are. And the stress that comes with that is ridiculous. Like you've got all these new eyeballs on you who don't know anything about you. And it's like, they're all judging you and they all have opinions. But I had a really slow over time ease into it. And it's made it so much easier to like just navigate. And I'm also glad that it didn't happen when I was like in high school. When I was young, it would have been a lot harder to handle. But since it happened like when I was an adult, I had more of a grasp on how to deal with it and even how to run it because it's a business. So like even how to run it as a business. I'm glad that it happened when it happened.
So what are you at for like, so is like the measure of success subscribers or views?
I think it used to be subscribers, but at this point it's if you're pulling in X amount of views a month, because that's how you get paid. I think I might have just hit 750,000 subscribers. But I'm not getting 750,000 views every time I upload a video. So the subscribers are a little less important. I guess they come into play where it's like, I know for a fact, like tomorrow, if I post a video, I'm going to get X amount of views because like this many people are subscribed. And I know these many people will watch. But other than that, it's like most of your views come from YouTube recommending it to people. Yeah. The algorithm kind of runs everybody's life at this point. So subscribers aren't as much of a like indicator of success, I would say. Do
you work into the YouTube shorts?
I haven't really done that. I did a little bit right when they started doing that. I did some, but not on my main channel. I have a second channel where I do kind of more experimental stuff. Okay. So I did some of that over there, but the second channel is like, it lives on its own kind of in limbo. And I don't really mention it on the main channel. It's kind of like, I almost want less eyeballs over there. Cause it's like, okay, I'm free to kind of do more. I can test stuff out. But if like, I would be nervous to post some experimental stuff on my main channel. Cause like, at this point, the main channel is the business. Yeah. So like, if you're screwing up the business, like, ooh, that's kind of a risky move. So I test stuff out over there, and then maybe I can implement them on the main channel at some point.
Right on.
Yeah, we'll see. I do have an idea for a short that I will post on the main channel, because it was like end of January, I posted a video. It was like a very long, comprehensive review of a bunch of pillows that I bought. Okay. Which is a weird. I know it sounds lame, but I tried to make it.
What's
fun.
The best one?
Coop. Dude, Coop. You ever heard of Coop?
No.
Holy crud. You've heard of Purple, the company Purple? They have a really good pillow too. But the Coop pillow, dude, I swear, and I'm not just saying this, has changed my life. I swear, I'm excited to go to bed every night because the Coop is so nice. So
are they a sponsor?
No. Okay. No, absolutely not. They've not paid me a dime. And they probably never will, because they don't need to, because I've already given them all of the publicity that they need for free. So I made that video, but there was one pillow that the internet it seems the internet has agreed is the best pillow. And it's from a company called Pluto. They were a Shark Tank company. Every time I hear about Pluto, it's like, this is the best pillow ever made. Oh my gosh, this pillow changed my life. Kind of the way I talk about Coop. Yeah. So I couldn't get that in time for the video. I ordered one anyway, but it showed up way after the video was already posted. But I want to do a YouTube short where I kind of speed run through the review of just that pillow. Yeah. So I'll post that on the main channel, because that video did ridiculously well for no reason. So I think it'd be a nice little follow-up.
Interesting. So how is or can you not share that?
Well, I will share. I'll give you a little sneak preview. It's all right. It's fine.
Okay.
It's no Coop.
It's no Coop?
But in my opinion, the Coop is the best pillow I've ever used. And then the Purple pillow is not really even a pillow. It's like that gel. You know, the Purple mattresses.
Yeah, it's like little squares.
It's that. So it's just that, but it's a pillow. And that's also amazing. And it's totally different. It's just, you kind of have to get used to it, but it's awesome. Yeah. And then I think I might, out of all the pillows I tested, I might put the Pluto third then. So it's okay. It's good, but it's not I would not recommend it over any of the other ones. And it's kind of expensive. It was like $120. So yeah, pretty expensive pillow. Damn. Yeah.
I've been looking into those, like, I think it's like Sleep 8 or
Sleep 8.
It's like these beds that like cool you off as you sleep. Okay. Or like, so like I get really hot when I sleep, like a furnace, and so it would cool you down to like your optimal. It pumps water through the mattress. Oh. And so then it like cools you off.
So it's reading you kind of as you sleep.
So it reads your resting heart rate. And really? It has like this optimal resting heart rate. Huh. And I think. So, like, my watch tracks it. It says, like, my optimal resting heart rate, I think, is around, like, 48. Okay. And so, it says my health is, like, in line, and I'm consistently 48 day after day. And if I get, like, go up to, like, 55, it says, like, oh, maybe you should, like, see if you're sick. Sure. And when COVID first happened, it would say, hey, maybe you should go get a COVID test.
Oh, really?
And, yeah. And, like, I don't know if you ever heard of Whoop before. Like, Whoop's, like, a fitness band. They, like, super hard into that stuff. Okay. But it's all that is measures your heart rate and like variations of your body. Mm-hmm. But it would like try to predict if you had COVID or not.
What the heck?
That one's a little.
They're in bed with Pfizer, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're the pharmaceutical company controls your watch now, dude.
The funny thing about Whoop is that you pay $30 a month for this band. And I've had it twice. I got it. I was like, I like it. Not worth it. Once I got this watch. Then I was like, you know what? The analytics seem to be pretty good from Whoop. So I'm going to get it again. This was like a year and a half later. Mm-hmm. Got it. Use it for a month. Like, not worth it.
Oh, man. You tricked yourself.
But there's not even like a watch face on it.
So it's just a band?
It's just a band. It'd be just like that. It's like your watch.
Huh? More like this.
Basically. But it just reads your heart rate.
Really?
But the newest one like reads like skin temperature as well. And so that's like a predictor of like sickness and whatnot as well. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird, but the bed reads your resting heart rate, and if you're getting really hot, it'll cool you down. But if you get too cold, then it'll heat you up.
Oh my goodness!
And so it has like the water that runs back and forth through it, and it pumps the ideal water temperature to your body.
What is it, like a $10,000 mattress? That's crazy.
Like you can get a mattress pad for 2 people, for like a queen bed. I think it was like for like $800 from like it's called like Chili Pad, and that was like the cheaper one. But like the Sleep Eight's like the nice one. I think like Rogan uses that one.
Oh, it sounds like a Rogan
so that
thing.
One's like $2,000.
Yeah,
but it'd be so nice.
So is it just a pad that goes on your mattress, or is it the mattress itself?
So the $2,000 one's like a mattress.
Oh,
and so like, you know, a $2,000 mattress is not like crazy.
That's not crazy at all.
And so I've thought about it. Because I love to just have like 10 blankets on me.
Oh yeah.
But you know, like 20 minutes later, you're drenched in sweat.
Yeah.
But that reminded me of the pillow thing. Reminded me of that.
Yeah. I never had thought about pillows until I made that video, and now I'm very particular. I kind of ruined my life with it because now I think about it too much. And I did the same thing, a little grosser. I did the same thing last year with toilet paper. I tested all the toilet papers and I found the ones that I like. And now I'm very particular
what's
about
your favorite one?
So Costco has their own brand. Mm-hmm. It's elite. It's 10 out of 10. Costco's the best.
What's the pattern?
It's kind of there's a little flowery type of pattern on it. It's a 2-ply, but I don't know if it really is. I think they might be lying about that. It might just be a thick 1-ply. I'm not quite sure.
Oh, really?
It's almost a little stretchy. It's got a little bit of a sponge feel to it. It's amazing.
1-ply is what you went with as the best?
Well, they say it's 2-ply, Ty. You see what I'm saying? Like,
okay. So
they've marketed it as 2-ply, but they might be lying to you. It might just be a really thick 1-ply. Or maybe it is 2, but they're more stuck than, because I've tried to go in and you can peel 2-ply apart kind of. Can't do that with the Costco. So I don't know what they're doing over there. I don't know what witchcraft is with the Costco toilet paper. But if you don't, you have to have a Costco membership. So I did not include it in the video. I don't know how I missed it. It was even on the shelf when I was shopping. The it's Charmin Ultra Soft is a close second in my opinion. And that's that's totally they sell that everywhere. So.
That's everywhere. That's good toilet paper. I'm a fan of the Cottonelle. It's like
with
the lines.
Yeah.
Yes, that seems to be the best.
It's good. That's a good one.
It digs it. It gets everything.
I gotta say, I have that on my roll right now. There's a Cottonelle roll in my house. I have, because I bought a ton of toilet paper for this thing. So like I kept a bunch of it, and I've just slowly we haven't bought toilet paper since last year.
What was the worst?
The worst one was Scott. Do you know what Scott is?
Yep.
And it's the worst because it's meant for, I think it's mainly meant for septic tanks and stuff. It's really thin. It lasts 10,000 years because the roll is so big. It is what it is,
Yeah.
I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't use it. But other than that one, they all were kind of fine. Like there was not one that I thought this is terrible. I remember using the Charmin Ultra Strong, and it's more like a paper towel than toilet paper. It's really kind of rough. And at first I didn't think I liked it, but after a while you kind of get used to it. So the only one that I would never use at my own house is the Scott brand.
So did you throw that away afterwards?
We still have. I used it to kill a spider the other day.
Okay.
We still have it. It's in the basement. It's just like sitting on a shelf. I don't know why I still have it. I feel bad just getting rid of it. I don't know what to do with it. It's just at my house.
You'll use it some year when you run out and you forget to buy some.
If I'm ever going camping or something, or if I'm staying in an RV, I'll bring the Scott with for the septic tank.
So, getting back to like your YouTube page, we're kind of on your YouTube page. How do you, or what is your idea creation process?
So I have this list. It's like a Google Notes thing.
Okay.
And I got this whole thing. I don't want to spoil it, so I like have all these, right? Good. These are all video ideas, and it's not scrolling. So like all of these are video ideas.
That's Google Notes.
It's called Google Keep, I think.
Looks slick.
So you color code it. You can put them into folders. And there's well over 100 ideas in here. So I have, just over the course of the last few years, anytime I think of something that I think, maybe I could do that, I add it to the notes. Write it down. And then it used to be more kind of run and gun, where my schedule looked like Monday, I go through and I pick what I wanted. I look through the ideas and I pick an idea. And I start kind of looking into it a little bit. Is this something that would work? Maybe there's not enough to cover. So that was what my Monday looked like. And then hopefully by Tuesday I could actually start scripting. So then Tuesday I'm, researching, gathering clips and piecing the story together. Cause I don't like to focus on one specific thing. I like to grab from all kinds. So like, just for example, I made a video about water beds last year. And
did you test them all out?
No, I didn't, because I couldn't find one. I couldn't find one to actually lay on. So what I could have done, and my initial idea was waterbed commercials. Okay. Yeah. So I was like, I'll make a video about waterbed commercials because they're so wacky. And then I started looking into it, and I thought maybe this isn't quite enough. There's not quite enough here to make a whole video about it. So then I went and I watched interviews with the guy who invented waterbeds, they were invented in the 70s. Like I would have figured waterbeds have been around forever, but they've only been around since the 70s. So I was watching interviews with that guy. And then I was kind of shopping online, seeing if they still existed. Jaden and I went to stores in town. We brought a camera with, and we were walking around the stores looking for waterbeds. And then we bought like an air mattress at Walmart and filled it up with water. So it turned into this whole thing. So that's what I spend my time on Tuesday doing, just kind of planning out what's going to happen in terms of that. And then Wednesday I hit the ground running, scripting, right, script the whole thing out. Thursday I kind of polish it up. Sometimes I would record on Thursday night, but most of the time that would get pushed, because I got other stuff going on. And most of the time that would get pushed to Friday. Record on Friday, start editing on Friday, finish editing on Saturday, and then I would submit it on Sunday for the sponsors to see, because they have their little segment in the video and they have to approve the sponsorship. So I would submit it on Sunday, and then it would go live the following Friday. So that's kind of how the schedule would work. But now it's not quite like that anymore since we had a baby. It's a little bit more hectic. It's like, okay, actually it's less hectic in a way, because I have my calendar, and this is going to sound insane, but I have my entire calendar for the whole year. I have all the topics and the days picked out for, like, this video is going to go live on this day. This is the topic for this day, all in advance.
It doesn't sound insane at all. It sounds smart.
It has saved me so much stress, because before, like I said, I get to Monday and it's all right, this video has to be made now. I don't even know what I'm doing. Yeah. But now I know 10 months in advance what I'm making, and I already have kind of done a little preliminary research on pretty much every topic. So I know that they will all work. So I'm way ahead on that, but then I fall behind on all of the scripting and the filming and the editing. That's where I've fallen behind since having a kid.
That's understandable.
Yeah. The editing is the stuff that's the only thing that I could offload to somebody else. I can't have somebody else write the script for me. I can't have somebody else film it for me. So the only thing that I could have somebody else do is edit, but that's like what I take the most pride in. Like, and everyone always says that who has eventually gotten an editor. They all say, oh, I always thought no one else could ever do it. I had to do it myself. I had to have full control. And then I got an editor and they figured it out. But I'm not at that place yet where I want someone else to figure it out. I still take a lot of pride in doing it all myself.
See, like, I don't have nearly the production you do by any means, but I hate editing.
Really? A lot of people do.
And it's like, it's just putting the video with the audio and then making clips. And I just put on LinkedIn, I put it on Facebook sometimes, but mostly Instagram. And I try to get that algorithm with the reels. Oh yeah,
got to get the reels out there.
And I don't know if it's a good idea or a bad idea, but like, so my shorts on YouTube and then on reels on Instagram have been my way to like try to like push it out there, but like try to like just get my face out there in some way. And so people, when they do see the podcast clip come up, they'll be like, oh, maybe I've seen this guy before. I want to click on his podcast. Yeah. And I don't know what your motivation is to, you've been making YouTube videos forever. Yeah. But like, my motivation is ultimately to talk to people. Like, that's one part of it. Sure. I do want to entertain people and like give them something to listen to. And so I'm a huge nerd, and maybe it's unhealthy to always look at the downloads. Like, I want to see people listen to it.
Yeah, I know. It is unhealthy, and but I do it too. I know it's unhealthy to pay attention to the stats, and I always tell myself like, oh, but I need to know because this is my livelihood. I need to know. I don't need to know. I don't need to know every second of every day what's going on.
Yeah. We'll
look at the larger picture and see if things need to be changed, but I don't need to be paying as close attention as I do. So I totally understand that. Yeah.
The what is it? The YouTube Studio app has kind of wrecked me.
It's awful.
It's so easy to see the stats of everything, and then you post a short, and that's like all algorithm. And
yeah, that's all. Yeah, exactly.
And I have one that's like, and this is low probably compared to the videos that you do, but like I started with like 2 subscribers,
right?
And like a couple weeks ago. And now I'm at 14, so I'm pretty stoked about that.
The percentage increase that's a big percentage increase.
That's a solid increase.
That's
I'm
huge.
sure if you did that percentage increase,
I would hang it up. I'd be like, all right, that's it. I've done it. It's over. I'm a billionaire.
So do you have any of like the YouTube like plaque things?
I have the 100,000 plaque.
Okay. Yeah. And is it 100,000 to like $1 million?
Yeah, it's 100,000 and then $1 million, and then I think you don't get another one until 10 million.
Holy shit.
So. But again, people always say, no, not so much because, like I said, the subscribers isn't really. At this point, I'm close enough to $1 million that I do want the $1 million. Like at some point, I hope to get it, but it's not any. I don't ever think about that at all.
You're not like subscribers. Tell other people to follow me so I can get this.
No, I've never. The subscribers is the thing that I pay attention to the least. Okay. Like that, the only reason I even know how many I have is because it's like the biggest thing when you open the app. It's just like, this is how many subscribers you have. Aren't you? Look at you. So if it wasn't for that, I would never look. I would never check. The thing that I do, like the reason that I use the Studio app is usually just to like make edits to things, edit the description and stuff like that. But then once you open the app, you get sucked into all the other stuff, like all the analytics, and you want to know, oh, where does this rank? Where does this video rank in the last 10? And oh, what are these comments saying? Like what do people think? And then you get sucked into it. But I wish there was a way to customize the app where you can, kind of remove some of the stuff you don't want to see. Yeah. Because they push the stuff that the first things you see are the worst things to see. Yeah. So I wish that you could change some of that, but I don't think they'll do that. I think they want you to see that bad stuff because it gets you addicted.
I think it's interesting to see how long somebody watches your video for.
Yeah, that is interesting. It's for me, like, it's pretty damn consistent. Like, whatever the video is, it's like, no matter how long it is, this percentage is the average watch time. But sometimes you'll get some that are just like, boom, people are watching the whole dang thing. And then, YouTube is like, oh, you should really study this and see why. There's no, I don't know why. I'll never know why. Sometimes people just watch long. I don't know. Sometimes a topic is better. I don't know. I'm never like learning from that stuff. Yeah. All it ever does is make me feel sad. I never learn anything.
Oh shit. So this might be getting like more philosophical, but okay, actually, there's a question I want to ask for a while, so I'll ask that one first. Okay. So when you went full time YouTube and you went kind of all in, did you notice like an increase of quality and then also an increase of views from that, being that you're putting more into it, or were you kind of like already doing that?
I think there probably was a noticeable increase in quality just because I had more time to dedicate to it. And yeah, I don't know if it was just complete luck with the timing or what, but like the views did drastically increase almost immediately after I started doing it full time. So I wasn't posting more frequently. So it wasn't even that. Yeah. I don't know. It just was complete luck at that point. But I do think that there was an increase in quality because I could spend more time on the pre-planning side of things. Because like I said, for a long time, it was just, all right, here's this topic that I want to talk about. Let's start writing. Let's watch this video and make jokes about it. But after a while, it was like, okay, I could have more time to like build an actual story out of this content. Yeah. And I think that's when it started to get better. It wasn't necessarily, I think just over time, my editing has gotten tighter and jokes are getting easier to like throw in here and there. But that was a more gradual
Gotcha.
improvement.
Okay. It's fascinating because, I think about it like it becomes your professional existence, if before it was like working for City of Fargo maybe, but you have like 8 hours a day in quotes to do it. And I don't know, I was just curious, I did forget the other question I was going to ask now. Well, but whatever.
At this point I kind of am jealous of my old self having such a structured day.
Yeah, because
I know that I do at least 8 hours of work a day, but it's so spread out and random, and I'll be up until, I hate to even admit it, but I'll be up until like 7 a.m. sometimes editing videos, and it's just awful to do. I mean, it's so unhealthy, but it's like I need to get the work in, and I had this thing come up that I need to do that wouldn't have come up if I had a normal job, and there's all these other aspects to the business that I have to deal with merchandise and like dealing with the sponsor contracts that are being submitted and all this other stuff that are just like very specific to my career. Yeah. And then it's hard to even feel like you can't complain about it to anybody because no one else gets it. Yeah. So like even talking to my wife gets it at this point, but early on I would be like venting to her and she's just like, I don't know what you're even saying. I don't even know what you're complaining about. So yeah, there's like a lot that goes to it, but the structure of my day is something that I miss from like, I go into the office at this time, I come home at this time, and I don't think about it for the rest of the night. Gotcha. Now I'm never not thinking about it in some way. Yeah. Which does get a little exhausting. But it's good that I love the job. So like if I didn't love it, I wouldn't be doing it.
So I think I remembered my question.
Let's hear it.
You find yourself in this very unique job of being a YouTuber, and you're raising a child. Oh yeah. Do you ever like think, like, what am I going to tell this kid to do with their life? Or is it ultimately just do whatever you want? I know
you'd love to be the parent that's like, that's not even a reasonable. Why are you trying to be a YouTuber? That's not going to happen, because it's like, Dad, you literally are doing that. Yeah. So obviously it can. But I also don't know that this is even going to be what I'm doing by the time like my kid's old enough to understand what's going on. So I might be doing something else by then. But if on the off chance I'm still like an entertainer by the time my kids are old enough to get it, I would probably be that parent that's like, yeah, do whatever you are passionate about, in a reasonable manner. Yeah. Because, if you want to be a rock star, how you got to have some kind of plan on how this is going to happen. Not that you can't do it and it's impossible, but like maybe you start not being a rock star. Maybe you start with some kind of fallback, or maybe you just like figure out if you even like doing it. Because there's so many people that I talk to and so many people that reach out to me that are like, oh, I want to be a YouTuber. Like, how do I be a YouTuber? And it's like, I don't know. This is just like, it's my entire identity. How do you be a YouTuber? It's just like, you just are. You either are or you aren't. You either love doing it or you don't. You either have the patience to figure it out and be bad at it for a while, or you don't. Because a lot of people start it and they're like, oh, this is too hard, or oh, nobody's watching, and oh, it's not good. And it's like, yeah, duh, that's anything. Like you're gonna be a master chef right away. Either you gotta learn how to do it and you're gonna suck for a while. So I think that would be like something that, if my kid wants to do something that's more obscure, I'd be open to it, because I would be a hypocrite if I wasn't. Yeah, for sure. But I still do have that in me where it's like, oh, but I want you to be like secure, and I want you to. So I don't know. I guess that's a bridge that I'll have to cross when I get there. Not yet. But I think I'll be open to a little bit more strange career paths, I think.
Gotcha.
We'll see. Within reason. Within reason, kids. Within reason.
Yeah. No, I think that's definitely a different world that kids are growing up in now. And granted, we're not that much older.
Right. Well, but it changes so fast.
For sure.
Because I even remember being in school and I was making YouTube videos or whatever, and it was not a career at that point. Like that wasn't something people did as a job. But I always thought this is all I want to do. And I just didn't understand like that's what a career meant. And then I would even bring it up to our guidance counselors and they'd be like, that's not a fucking job. What are you doing? You shouldn't do that. You should figure something else out. And now it's like every kid wants to be a YouTuber. Every kid wants to be some kind of like a streamer. I want to play video games and stream, which, yeah, of course you do. That's a fun life to live. And I think people get that it is possible now. So I don't know. And I'm sure some new stuff will come along eventually too, that it's like now kids all want to do this and I won't get that. I won't get it. I'll be like, I'm an old guy. All I know about is YouTube. That's what old people do, YouTube.
See, I find myself feeling like, I obviously wanted this podcast, and podcast probably goes along with the streaming thing, but like I want to make book reviews like that.
There you go. That's sick.
It's definitely like a random thing.
Yeah, it's more niche.
And it's not. I think it's partially. My friend does book reviews on LinkedIn.
Okay.
He does like one a week ish. Not as much anymore. He's like about to have a baby, but he's really good. And I was like, I think that's a great way because sometimes last Tuesday weather sucks.
Right.
Can't get somebody in, and like a family friend of ours lives like right over there, and she's like used to be like a pro runner, like really good. And,
sure.
I'm really bad at getting females on the podcast.
Gotta get some ladies.
My
in
network
here,
is not very good with females.
Gotta get the ladies.
But, I've been trying to, and the one thing I know I consistently do is I can sit right there or like right here and do a book review and publish it and record it. Yeah. I've been doing a shit ton of reading the last like year and a half, and it's a bunch of books. People are like, oh, what do you recommend? I'm like, well, just go to this episode. You'll get like a Spark Notes version and then decide if you want to read it. Like, don't completely spoil it, but...
So have you been doing that, or you just been thinking about it?
I was, you know what? If you were going to cancel, I was going to do it tonight.
Yeah, I'm sorry I ruined it.
No, you're good.
But that is something you should do.
Because it's super easy. You can do like, I have a big log of books.
Sure.
I could do it from, but easily could do one once a week, once every other week.
Yeah. And
go along with it.
That's it's something that because I'm not a big book guy, but I am a video / podcast guy. So it's like, even if I wasn't a book guy, I would still be intrigued by just you doing your thing anyway. And then the people that are book people, that's a market for them. So it's like, it's not like it's some impossible thing to find an audience doing.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you ever listened to Jocko's podcast. Jocko Willing. He's a big leadership guy, former like Navy SEAL guy. He does it where he'll have like an author come in and he'll read part of their book, and it's like he has this big, super intense voice.
Nice.
And he reads it in that voice, and it sounds way more different than like if you were to read it in your own like basic bitch voice. But he reads it and makes it super intense, and every time the author's like, whoa, I've never heard my book read like that before.
That's awesome. I wish my voice sounded like that.
The idea kind of came from that, is like maybe read like a snippet and then like talk about it. Like, what the fuck did this mean? And there's one book I really want to do. It's called I Wrote This Book Because I Love You.
Okay.
And it's this guy, he chunks his life into a bunch of different like sections of his life. And it starts with his mother. And it's a woman. The chapters are the name of a woman in his life, and it's usually like lovers.
Gotcha.
But it starts with his mom and finishes with his cat.
Okay.
And but then like he married a teacher who was teaching on a railroad circus. What? And so he like writes a chapter about that, and he like lived with her so she wouldn't get like they like there's a ton of respect for like married women on this train, and so but she didn't want to be like sexually assaulted or anything like that on this train, because if you're single, it's apparently way more common on this train.
This is a man's real life.
Oh yeah, and this is a man's real life, and so he writes a chapter about her. Then he was dating a stripper for like 3 weeks, and then another, and that was like a super short chapter. But he had a long-term relationship with like a porn star.
Sure.
And so
what did you say the book was called?
It's called I Wrote This Book Because I Love You.
This book because I love you.
And it's actually a pretty short, easy read. I think 150 pages. And so fairly quick. And I remember like it's one of those like page turns.
Oh yeah, he's just zipping.
Just zip through it.
Huh.
Another book I recently read, super fucked up. Oh. And it almost made me vomit.
Oh, what the hell? A book?
Yeah, it was nuts.
Interesting. You were living it in your head, huh?
I was sitting on the couch and I'm reading my book, like flying through. I finished it was like a 240-page book, and I finished it in like, I'm a slow reader, but I finished that one in like 5 hours. And so that's cooking for me.
Yeah.
I don't know what that breaks down to. I get distracted often too. So
yeah,
but I remember that. I'm like reading, and Avetta's like said something to me, and I'm just like, what?
Zoned out.
And she was like, "You look like you just saw a ghost," and I was like, "This book is so fucked."
Oh my gosh.
I would love to get people intrigued into like reading it or listening to it. I've been listening to that one; it'd be terrible. But
like audiobook style.
Yeah,
dude, what even?
It's super weird. It's like. It's kind of cool because it's a new concept of like instant messenger, but it was instant messenger from like 2004.
Sure.
And it's a true story of these two people going back and forth on instant messenger. And it goes from like buying an apple peeler to giving in quotes birth to a tapeworm.
Yeah. Maybe the audiobook on that one gets skipped. Maybe you just suffer through that one in your own brain.
Yeah. And maybe your own brain makes it worse, and maybe mine did, but it was
I guess,
the quality of writing was very good.
Oh, really?
Highly recommend.
Oh, you recommend it, huh?
Yeah.
It's highly recommended.
And that was actually that one was recommended through my friend's LinkedIn
book
review, and he was like, "Don't read it."
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I have to read it.
Yeah, that's the best recommendation.
Yeah, but one thing I was curious about with your YouTube, like, what are your goals for it? Like moving forward, do you want to kind of keep it the same as it is now?
I've never had any goals at all, which is interesting. I guess the only goal was to like be able to do it as my job, and since then I haven't really thought much about it. Other than this year when I planned the ideas out in advance, I'm living like week to week essentially. So I can't even really think of a goal to have because it changes. Like just 6 months ago, my goals would have been different than they are now. So at this point, I'm just like, my goal is to do it as long as I possibly can. So I'm still loving doing it. It's still possible, obviously, and it's still slowly growing. So one day when it crashes and burns, I guess then I'll figure it out. But right now, I'm just having fun doing it.
I think it's cool. This isn't like 100% true, but people who go all in and they just keep loving what they do seems to work out a lot of times. I
think that's true as well. Yeah. If you really love doing it, you'll figure something out.
Yeah. And I think, it's, you hear every success story is that, it seems like. There's very, very few where it's just, I kind of just fell into this. But, and one is cool. I don't know if you've seen his podcast recently, Modern Wisdom. He's like,
I feel so uncultured.
No, you're good. You're good.
I've said no to everything you've asked.
I have myself in this weird bubble of like motivation shit. Like Jocko, David Goggins.
I know Goggins.
So he had Goggins on his podcast.
Sure.
And his podcast is fairly new, I believe. But he fell into it from being a model. Oh. And he's like, and he talks about how he's like, I don't feel like I deserve this. He's like, imposter syndrome.
Yep, feel that all the time.
He's like, I feel like I don't deserve this because this, and this. Like, I had my platform before I started this podcast. And so I just instantly got followers. Like, dude, you got some massive guests on your podcast. Sure. You've been on massive shows now because of it. Does the imposter syndrome like really still play into effect? Because you may have like fallen into it, but you're still giving it everything to keep it where it is.
And I feel like it all just is a continuation of that. It's not like, oh, this it's a podcast, you said?
Yep.
It's not like saying, oh, this podcast is its own completely unrelated, totally separate thing, and all of my success that I had from before has if it all just feeds into each other.
Yeah.
So there's so many people from like old TV shows that now are doing podcasts about the TV show that they used to be on.
Oh, really?
And it's like, would you say if that podcast is a success, would you say it's unearned success? I would not necessarily say that, because it's like you earned your success and you're just carrying it on to this. You're carrying it on to this other thing.
Because obviously there's, it's earned because you're continuing to build off of what somebody obviously loves.
Right.
I think I saw one of what the ladies from The Office.
Yep, they have theirs is really popular. I just saw one of the kids from Ned's Declassified.
Really?
They have a podcast now, so it's about the show. So,
damn.
And even then, it's like, would you say, oh, they didn't like make the show, but they were the reason people gave a shit about the show. So it's like
they were the actors, they were the face of it.
I would never look at what they're doing and be like, oh, that's corny, oh, that's pathetic. You know, no, it's a continuation of this thing that they built and earned, and they're carrying it over to what they're doing now. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all.
I think if you keep doing that, if you keep loving what you do, you'll probably be doing good for a while.
I hope so.
That's cool.
That's the goal. That's the only goal.
Yeah.
Keep loving what I do.
Yeah. That's a good goal. But I think we probably cut it off there. Sure. You know, we're at like over an hour and a half.
Just cruising through it. Doesn't feel like
it. Yeah. But thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Do you want to like share anything? Like what your channel name is?
Well, yeah. Did I ever even say that my name is Scott Cramer? It's me.
I don't think so. I'll give you an intro before we start it out.
Sure. Well, yeah, that's it. That's me on everything. You just search my name.
Scott Cramer?
Yep.
Sounds good.
Yep. Shout out everybody from Kindred.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, brother.
That sounds good, man. Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to this episode with Scott. It was great having him in the studio here. And if you like the episode, give it a share. If you're looking for a shirt, I got small, I got medium, I got 2XL left, so I'd love to get one sent out to you, and I really appreciate everybody else who has ordered a shirt already. If you have interest in another clothing order or something like that, let me know. Shoot me a direct message, either on text, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever. You'll get a hold of me. But I do appreciate you guys, and come back more for next week. Thank you.